The space station called Harmony Point hung in orbit around Earth like a shining metal flower. Inside, Olivia Warren straightened her blue diplomatic uniform and took a deep breath. Today was important. The hegemony representatives were coming, with new rules for humans, and she needed to stay calm. "They're docking now," said Daniel Green, her assistant. His fingers moved quickly over his tablet as he spoke. "The Grand Overseer is with them." Olivia nodded. "That's not good news. They only send the Grand Overseer when they plan big changes. The hegemony had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Humans had only met them 70 years ago. At first, everyone was excited to join a galactic community, but soon humans learned they would not be equal partners. The hegemony saw Earth as primitive, useful only for resources and labor. Amanda Collins entered the room. She wore the dark green uniform of Earth's defense forces, with 4 gold stars on her collar. Once she had commanded ships. Now she advised. "The diplomats. You've seen the early reports?" Amanda asked, her voice low. "Yes," Olivia said. "More restrictions, less space for human ships, more taxes." She sighed. "The same story, just worse each time." Amanda's eyes narrowed. "We can't keep giving in forever." Daniel looked up nervously. "They're here." The station doors slid open. 4 aliens walked in. 3 were Kralthun, tall, gray-skinned beings with 4 arms and narrow faces. The 4th was different, a Vexnor, the ruling species of the hegemony. Grand Overseer Veshinar stood 7 feet tall with greenish scales and eyes that changed color with his mood. Now they glowed orange. "Diplomat Warren," the Grand Overseer said, not bowing. "We bring new protective measures for Earth." Olivia smiled, politely, and bowed even though the alien had not. "Welcome to Harmony Point, Grand Overseer. We are honored by your presence." The tallest Kralthun stepped forward. This was Zolthrix, a regular visitor to Earth. "The Grand Overseer has traveled far. Perhaps we should begin immediately." They moved to the conference room. The walls were glass, showing Earth below and stars above. 7 humans sat on one side, 4 aliens on the other. Eric Martinez, the human ambassador to the Hegemony Council, looked tired. He had been fighting for human rights for years. Veshinar placed a device on the table. It projected a long document in the air. "The hegemony has concerns about human development," he said. "Your species advances too quickly. It creates instability." Olivia read through the document, keeping her face calm even as anger built inside her. The new rules would cut human space travel by half-place hegemony supervisors in all research labs, increase the resources Earth must provide by 30%, forbid humans from speaking to 5 other species. "These seem very restrictive," Olivia said carefully. "Earth has followed all previous agreements." Zolthrix waved a hand dismissively. "Yet your population grows restless. We hear talk of independence. This is dangerous thinking." Amanda spoke up. "Perhaps if the agreements were more fair, there would be less restlessness." The Grand Overseer's eyes flashed red for a moment. "Fair? The hegemony protects Earth. Without us, you would be vulnerable to the Void clans and the Deveraks. Your species should be grateful." The meeting continued for hours. Every human suggestion was rejected. Every request for compromise was ignored. Through it all, Olivia remained professional and respectful, even when the aliens were not. During a short break, Olivia found Amanda staring out at Earth below. "They're not even pretending to listen anymore," Amanda said. Olivia nodded. "I've noticed. But we need to stay diplomatic." "For how long?" Amanda asked. 70 years of being nice hasn't improved our position." Before Olivia could answer, they heard voices from a nearby room. The door was slightly open. Inside, Zolthrix was speaking to Veshinar, not realizing humans were nearby. "Easier than expected," Zolthrix was saying. "These human females are just as the studies predicted, naturally inclined to avoid conflict." The Grand Overseer made a sound like rocks grinding together, a laugh. "Yes, their biology serves our purposes well. Their maternal instincts make them seek compromise even when none should be given. The males might fight, but they put their females in charge of talking, a useful weakness. And they never suspect? Asked another voice. How could they? We've studied Earth creatures. The females always nurture and protect rather than fight. It is their nature. They will bend and bend until one day they break. By then, humans will be fully integrated as a labor species. Olivia felt her face grow hot. She looked at Amanda, whose hands were now fists at her sides. They backed away, quietly, and returned to the human side of the conference room. Daniel approached them, his face worried. Is everything okay? You both look upset. Olivia took out her small tablet. Daniel, I need you to do something very quietly. Contact Catherine Reyes at Intelligence. Tell her to activate security protocol Boudica, authorization code Warren 7729. Daniel looked confused but nodded. Right away, but what's happening? Just do it, Amanda said, and contact Earth Defense. Tell them to prepare for meeting protocol change. When the aliens returned, Olivia smiled at them warmly. The Grand Overseer misunderstood her smile, thinking it was submission. He did not know that among Earth's apex predators, showing teeth could be a warning. The afternoon session was brief. Olivia agreed to take the document to Earth's government. The aliens seemed pleased with how easily she accepted their demands. As they prepared to leave, Olivia asked for one final brief meeting with just Zalthrix and the Grand Overseer. The aliens agreed, following her to a small room. Once inside, Olivia closed the door. Her smile vanished. We heard your conversation earlier, she said calmly, about human females and our biological tendencies. The aliens looked at each other. Veshinar's eyes turned yellow with surprise. I don't know what you mean, Zalthrix said quickly. I think you do, Olivia replied. I want you to take a message back to the Hegemony Council. She stepped closer to them, and something in her eyes made both aliens step back. For 70 years, we have been diplomatic. We have been understanding. We have been kind. You've mistaken our kindness for weakness, our patience for submission. Olivia's voice remained soft, but carried an edge the aliens had never heard before. Perhaps it's time you learned the difference. That night, across Earth, women in positions of power received a single message. Boudica is active. In hidden bases, secret laboratories, and diplomatic offices, decades of careful planning began to unfold. The Hegemony had made a terrible mistake. They had studied Earth's wildlife and concluded that female humans must be naturally passive and nurturing. They never considered that kindness might be a choice rather than a weakness. They never imagined what would happen when human women decided that kindness had failed, and so began the 3 days that would change the galaxy forever. 2 days passed after the Hegemony representatives left Earth. In a secret facility hidden deep in the Himalayan mountains, Olivia Warren watched as dozens of women moved with purpose through a large underground room. This was the Valkyrie facility, unknown to the Hegemony, where humans had been preparing for years. Catherine Reyes, director of Earth's intelligence operations, stood next to a large screen showing dots moving across star maps. Her short gray hair and sharp eyes gave her a serious look. She had spent 20 years collecting secrets. The Hegemony ships are moving exactly as expected, Catherine said. They think we're just processing their demands and preparing to give in. Again, Olivia nodded. And our assets? All in position. Catherine touched the screen, and it changed to show hundreds of small dots scattered throughout Hegemony space. We have people on every major world, near every important facility, just waiting for the signal. Amanda Collins entered the room, followed by 2 other women. One was Lisa Patel, Earth's highest-ranking military commander. The other was Samantha Wells, lead scientist at the Valkyrie facility. Report, Olivia said. Lisa spoke first. Earth Defense Fleet is at full readiness. The ships the Hegemony knows about are in their usual positions. The ships they don't know about are hidden but ready. How many ships do they not know about? Olivia asked. 3 times what they think we have, Lisa said with a small smile. They've been monitoring our official shipyards very carefully, They never thought to look in the old mining tunnels on Mars or in the ice rings of Saturn. Samantha stepped forward next. Her lab coat had strange stains on it, and she looked like she hadn't slept. The technology is ready. We've been pretending to follow their restrictions, building simple things in the labs they monitor. But here, she gestured around the facility. Here we've made real progress. Show me, Olivia said. They walked through a large set of doors into a hangar area. Inside were rows of small, sleek ships unlike anything humans officially built. And weapons. Many weapons. How did you hide all this? Amanda asked in amazement. Samantha laughed. It wasn't hard. The hegemony watches our men very carefully, especially the ones who talk loudly about rebellion. But they barely notice women in science. Just a bunch of nurturing females doing simple research, they think. Their mistake, Lisa said. They returned to the main room where Catherine had brought up new information on the screens. We have the full plan for their new restrictions, Catherine said. It's worse than what they showed us. They plan to place controllers in our schools to teach human children to be better servants. Olivia's face hardened. Then we've made the right choice. How soon can we move? Operation Boudica can begin in 24 hours, Amanda said. All the pieces are in place. And the other species? Olivia asked. Catherine brought up more images. Grace Turner has been building alliances in secret for years. 7 other species are ready to join us when we make our move. All of them controlled by the hegemony. All of them waiting for someone to lead the way. Olivia looked around the room at the women gathered there. Some had been planning this moment for decades, passing their work to daughters and students when they grew too old to continue. The hegemony has ruled for 10,000 years, Olivia said. They think they know everything about controlling other species. But they made one big mistake with humans. What's that? Asked a young woman nearby. They studied our animals and decided female humans must be naturally gentle and avoiding conflict, Amanda answered. They never considered that we choose when to be kind and when not to be. And now? The young woman asked. Olivia's voice was cold. Now we choose not to be. Later that day, Amanda stood before 200 military officers in a hidden base under the Atlantic Ocean. Most were women, though some were men who had been carefully selected for their loyalty and discretion. For decades, we've let the hegemony believe we were weak, Amanda told them. We've smiled at their insults. We've nodded at their demands. But all that time, we've been building our strength in the shadows. She pulled up an image of hegemony warships. They think they know everything about us. They believe our diplomatic nature is biological, not strategic. They've never considered that our kindness was a choice, one we can unchoose. She looked at each person in the room. Tomorrow, they learn what happens when human women stop being accommodating. The officers stood and saluted. They had trained, in secret, for this moment. In space, Nicole Foster sat in the captain's chair of a ship that officially did not exist. The Nemesis was the most advanced warship humans had ever built, hidden inside an asteroid in the belt. Around her, a crew of 50 women and men prepared for battle. Status report, Nicole ordered. All systems ready, Captain, her first officer said. The other Shadow Fleet ships report ready as well. Nicole nodded. Tomorrow we show ourselves. Make sure everyone gets rest tonight. It may be our last quiet. One for a while. On the hegemony homeworld, Grace Turner walked through the grand halls of the Galactic Council building. As Earth's representative, she was allowed to attend meetings but rarely permitted to speak. The other subjugated species representatives nodded to her subtly as she passed. They all knew what was coming. A hegemony guard stopped her. Representative Turner, the council is not in session today. Grace smiled politely. I'm just retrieving some documents from my office. The guard waved her through, not bothering to escort her. Why would he? Human females were no threat. In her office, Grace activated a small device that jammed all listening equipment. Then she opened a hidden compartment in her desk and removed a data crystal. On it was evidence of hegemony crimes against dozens of species, collected over decades. Tomorrow, it would be broadcast across the galaxy. Back on Earth, as night fell, Over the Valkyrie facility, Olivia stood alone looking at pictures of the women who had started this plan. Many were old now. Some had died waiting for this moment. Daniel Green found her there. The Hegemony ambassador has requested a meeting tomorrow. He says the Grand Overseer was concerned by your last conversation. Good, Olivia said. Set the meeting for noon. By then it will be too late for them to stop what's coming. Are you sure about this? Daniel asked nervously. The Hegemony has ruled for 10,000 years. They have more ships, more weapons. Olivia turned to him. But they have less determination, and they've never faced an enemy they completely underestimated until it was too late. Across Earth and throughout the solar system, women in command positions received their final orders. Ships moved silently into position. Agents on 100 worlds stood ready. The Hegemony had no idea what was coming. They would learn too late that there is nothing more dangerous than an intelligent species whose strength has been dismissed, especially when that species decides that kindness has failed and the time for being nice is over. The Hegemony Central Embassy on Earth was a tall crystal building that always seemed to look down on the human structures around it. At exactly noon, Olivia Warren walked through its main doors. She wore her formal diplomatic uniform and carried a single data tablet. 4 security officers walked with her, 2 men and 2 women, all looking straight ahead. Inside, the Grand Overseer waited with Zalthrix and 3 armed guards. The aliens looked annoyed. Diplomat Warren, Veshinar said, you requested this meeting. I assume you bring your world's acceptance of our new protective measures? Olivia smiled. It was not a kind smile. I bring our response, yes. She placed her tablet on the table between them. A hologram appeared, showing a document much longer than the one the Hegemony had presented. What is this? Zalthrix asked, his forearms twitching with irritation. This is humanity's counter-proposal, Olivia said calmly. You'll find it quite comprehensive. The Grand Overseer's eyes flashed red. Counter-proposal? There is no negotiation. Here, you will accept our terms. Please read it, Olivia said, her voice still pleasant. Pay special attention to Section 4. Annoyed but curious, Zalthrix scrolled through the document until he reached Section 4. His eyes widened. The section contained detailed information about secret Hegemony weapons facilities in protected space, illegal genetic experiments on sentient species, and corrupt deals with outlawed trading groups. Where did you get this information? Veshinar demanded, his voice suddenly not so confident. We've been gathering it for decades, Olivia replied. Every time you dismissed a human woman as just a secretary, you missed the intelligence agent taking notes. Every time you ignored the emotional female scientist, you missed the one analyzing your technology. Every smile you thought was submission was actually patience. Outside the embassy windows, people could see unusual activity in the sky. Hundreds of ships were appearing in Earth orbit, human ships that the Hegemony had never seen before. What is happening? Zalthrix asked, moving to the window. Operation Boudica, Olivia said simply, named after an ancient Earth queen who led a rebellion against an empire that underestimated her. At the exact same moment across the galaxy, carefully planned events began to unfold. On the Hegemony homeworld, Grace Turner stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber. Around her were representatives of 20 other species. The Hegemony Council members looked confused by this unscheduled gathering. What is the meaning of this? Asked High Chancellor Zebrax, leader of the Hegemony. Council Grace held up a data crystal for all to see. This contains evidence of 10,000 years of Hegemony crimes against countless species. It is being broadcast to every world in the galaxy right now. Impossible, the High Chancellor said. Our communications network has been under our control for 6 hours, Grace finished for him. Your security protocols were changed last night by our agents. In deep space near the Hegemony's largest military base, Commander Nicole Foster sat on the bridge of the Nemesis. Around her ship, 20 others decloaked, advanced vessels that the Hegemony had no idea existed. All ships reporting ready. Commander, said her first officer. Nicole nodded. Begin Operation Boudica. Targeted strikes only. No civilian casualties. The human ships moved with incredible speed, firing weapons that cut through hegemony shields like they weren't there. Within minutes, the alien military base was disabled, its weapons offline, its communications down. Similar scenes played out across hegemony space as hidden human fleets revealed themselves near every major military installation. The ships moved, with perfect coordination, striking with surgical precision. In the Valkyrie facility on Earth, Catherine Reyes watched as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Next to her, Lisa Patel directed Earth's defense forces. Status? Catherine asked. All primary targets neutralized, Lisa replied. Hegemony forces are in chaos. They had no idea we could strike everywhere at once. Michelle Sawyer, head of Earth's Cyber Warfare Division, looked up from her screens. Their communications network is completely under our control. They can't coordinate a response. Back at the Hegemony Embassy, Olivia watched as the Grand Overseer received urgent messages. With each one, his scales seemed to pale. This is impossible, he said finally. You cannot have ships like this. You cannot have this technology. We've monitored your development for decades. You monitored what we allowed you to see, Olivia replied. For every research facility you watched, we built 3 you never found. For every ship you counted, we hid 5 more. Zalthrix looked at her with new understanding and fear. All these years, you were planning this? From the day you first called our diplomats surprisingly intelligent for females and dismissed our scientists because of their gender, Olivia said. You thought our kindness was weakness. You thought our patience was submission. She stepped closer to them. Let me explain something about human women, something your studies of Earth wildlife missed. We don't avoid conflict because we're weak. We avoid it because we know exactly how devastating we can be when pushed too far. On a hegemony battlecruiser near the border of their space, General Atrix watched in horror as human ships destroyed his fleet's weapons without harming the crews. I warned them, he said to his second-in-command. I told the Council never to underestimate humans, especially their females. Why didn't they listen? His officer asked. Because in 10,000 years of ruling the galaxy, the hegemony never faced an enemy who smiled while building the weapons to destroy them. In the Galactic Council chamber, chaos had erupted. 7 species had formally declared their independence from the hegemony, all coordinated by Grace Turner. The evidence of hegemony crimes was playing on every screen. Did you really think we were just being kind all these years? Grace asked the stunned High Chancellor. We were studying you, learning your weaknesses, building alliances with every species you've ever mistreated. On Earth, Amanda Collins walked into the Human Defense headquarters. Officers saluted her as she passed. On the main screen, she could see hegemony ships everywhere being disabled or forced to surrender. The Sybil, someone said, pointing to an approaching hegemony flagship. Send them our terms, Amanda ordered. The terms were simple. The hegemony would immediately release all subjugated species. A new galactic concordat would be formed where all species had equal representation. Those who had committed crimes against other species would face justice. When the hegemony supreme commander received these terms, he laughed. And if we refuse? Amanda smiled. It was not a gentle smile. Then you will see what happens when we stop being kind altogether. To demonstrate, a single human ship fired on an uninhabited moon. The weapon cut the moon in half. Within 1 hour, the hegemony agreed to the terms. As night fell on Earth, Olivia stood with Amanda and Catherine watching the stars. Among those stars, the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known was falling, brought down by the species they had most underestimated. Do you think they understand yet? Catherine asked. They're beginning to, Olivia replied. They're finally learning the most important lesson about humans, which is, Amanda asked, that our kindness is a choice, and so is our fury. 3 days after Operation Boudica began, the galaxy looked very different. The once mighty hegemony forces were scattered and confused. Their main fleets were disabled. Their leaders were in hiding or captured, and 7 formerly subjugated species had declared independence alongside humanity. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Commander Nicole Foster watched her tactical display. Her ship hovered near a massive hegemony space station that had surrendered without firing a shot. "Status report," Nicole ordered. Her first officer, a tall woman named Judy Clark, looked up from her screen. "All hegemony military installations in this sector are now under our control. No casualties on either side." This had been the most surprising part of the human strategy. They could have destroyed the hegemony forces, but instead, they had disabled their weapons and communications. With surgical precision, it sent a clear message. "We could kill you, but we choose not to, just as we chose to be kind before, and now choose not to be." "Any word from Supreme Military Director Kralvox?" Nicole asked. "Still hiding in the Vexari system," Judy replied. "Our ships have him surrounded, but he refuses to surrender." Nicole nodded. "He was always the most arrogant of their commanders. Send him a message. Tell him I'll meet him ship to ship if he wants to continue this fight. Just his flagship against the Nemesis." In the Vexari system, Supreme Military Director Kralvox received this message with rage. He was the highest-ranking military leader of an empire that had ruled for 10,000 years. Now a human female challenged him directly. "Prepare my ship," he roared to his officers. "We will show these humans what happens when they challenge the hegemony." His second-in-command, General Atrix, looked concerned. "Sir, we should consider accepting their terms. Their technology is beyond ours. Somehow they've been developing in secret for decades." "It's a bluff," Kralvox insisted. "No species could hide such advancement from us, especially not humans, with their primitive emotional minds." General Atrix said nothing more, but he thought about all the warnings he had given over the years, warnings that had been ignored. On Earth, in the Valkyrie facility, Olivia Warren met with representatives from the 7 species who had joined humanity's rebellion. They sat around a large round table equals for the first time. "The hegemony is falling faster than we expected," said Delegate Morith of the Vexari, a small blue-skinned being with large eyes. "But what comes next?" "The Galactic Concordat," Olivia replied. She touched a control, and a holographic document appeared above the table. "A new alliance where all species have equal representation. No more masters and servants. The hegemony. Ruled for 10,000 years," said another delegate, a tall insect-like being from the Zith Collective. "How do we ensure this new alliance does not become just another empire?" "By building it differently from the start," said Catherine Reyes, who sat beside Olivia. "With checks on power, with transparency, and with justice." The delegates discussed the new galactic order for hours. It would not be perfect, but it would be better. Much better. Meanwhile, in space near the edge of the Vexari system, 2 ships faced each other. The hegemony flagship Eternal Dominion was huge, 3 times the size of the human vessel Nemesis. But size wasn't everything. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Nicole Foster received a transmission. "Put it on screen," she ordered. Supreme Military Director Kralvox appeared. He was a massive being with thick armor-like skin and small angry eyes. "Human," he growled. "I will give you one chance to surrender before I destroy your ship, and then return to Earth to show your species the true meaning of dominance." Nicole smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "You still don't understand what's happening, do you? For 70 years we let you believe we were weak. We smiled at your insults. We accepted your restrictions. And all that time we were studying you, learning your weaknesses, building the tools to defeat you." "Impossible!" Kralvox shouted. "We monitored your development, we controlled your technology." "You saw what we wanted you to see," Nicole replied calmly. "Every research facility you monitored was a show. Every ship you counted was outdated. Before we revealed it, your arrogance made you blind." She leaned forward. "This is your last chance. Surrender now." Kralvox roared in fury and cut the transmission. Seconds later, the Eternal Dominion fired all its weapons at once. The crew of the Nemesis didn't even flinch as the alien weapons fire splashed harmlessly against their shields. "Their weapons have no effect, Commander," reported Judy. Nicole nodded. "As expected, target their engines and weapon systems only. Disable, don't destroy." The Nemesis fired a series of precise energy pulses. Each one cut through the hegemony ship's shields like they weren't there. Within moments, the massive flagship was drifting powerless. "Open a channel," Nicole ordered. Kralvox appeared on screen again, now looking shocked and afraid. "How?" he demanded. "How is this possible?" "Because you made a fundamental mistake," Nicole said. "You believed our kindness was weakness. It wasn't. It was restraint." Back on Earth, Amanda Collins watched the battle from the Human Defense Headquarters. When the Eternal Dominion surrendered, a cheer went up from the staff around her. "Send the message to all remaining hegemony forces," Amanda ordered. "They have 24 hours to lay down their weapons and accept the terms of the Concordat." Across the galaxy, the message spread. One by one, hegemony commanders surrendered. Some had already been overthrown by their own crews who had seen the evidence of their leaders' crimes broadcast by Grace Turner. On the hegemony homeworld, the High Chancellor was placed under arrest by his own security forces. Grace Turner watched as he was led away. "You've destroyed 10,000 years of order," he said bitterly as he passed her. "No," Grace replied. "We've ended 10,000 years of tyranny. There's a difference." In the following days, as the last hegemony resistance collapsed, Olivia Warren traveled to the former hegemony capital world. In the Grand Hall where the High Chancellor had once given orders, she now addressed representatives from 50 species. For too long, the galaxy lived under the rule of those who mistook kindness for weakness, she told them. Today we begin building something new, not an empire, not a hegemony, but a concordat of equals. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of aliens who just days ago would not have considered humans their equals. "Let this be a lesson that echoes through history," she continued. "Kindness is not the absence of strength. Patience is not the absence of resolve. And those who smile the longest may be the most dangerous when they finally stop." The Grand Overseer, Veshnar, now a prisoner awaiting trial, watched this speech from his cell. He still could not believe how completely they had been defeated. "We studied them for 70 years, he said to the guard outside his cell. "How did we not see this coming?" The guard, a young Vexari who had joined the human-led rebellion, looked at him with something like pity. "Because you saw only what you expected to see," the guard replied. "You decided human women were naturally submissive, so that's all you could see. You never considered they might be wolves in sheep's clothing, waiting for the right moment to show their teeth." Throughout the galaxy, species that had lived under hegemony rule for thousands of years looked to the stars with new hope, and they told each other the story of how the greatest empire in history fell in just 3 days, brought down by the species they had most underestimated. They told stories about the day human women decided to stop being kind. And throughout the galaxy, a new saying began to spread. "Beware the smile of a human female. It might be genuine kindness, or it might be the last thing you see before your world changes forever." 1 month after Operation Boudica began, the galaxy was still adjusting to its new reality. The hegemony that had ruled for 10,000 years had fallen in just 3 days. Now, in its place, the Galactic Concordat was taking shape. On what was once the hegemony capital world, the new Galactic Council chambers were busy with activity. Representatives from 50 species worked together to build a government where all had equal voices. At the center of it all was Olivia Warren, who now headed the Transition Council. Olivia sat at her desk, reading reports from across the galaxy. Most were positive. The transition was going smoothly in most sectors. Some former hegemony officials had tried to resist, but without their military might, they had quickly surrendered. Amanda Collins entered the office. She now oversaw security for the new interstellar government, making sure no one tried to take advantage of the changing power balance. "The trials start tomorrow," Amanda said, sitting down across from Olivia. Olivia nodded. "Is everything ready?" "Yes. Former Grand Overseer Veshnar will be the first to face justice. The evidence against him is overwhelming. The trials were an important part of the new beginning. Those who had committed crimes against other species would answer for their actions, but it would be fair justice, not revenge." "And Earth?" Olivia asked. "Celebrating," Amanda replied with a smile. "People still can't believe what we accomplished. Some are calling it the 3-Day War. Others are calling it the Kindness Rebellion." The door opened again, and Rebecca Mills walked in. She was a historian, documenting everything that had happened. She wanted to make sure future generations would remember how the galaxy changed. "I've been interviewing former hegemony officials," Rebecca said. "They all say the same thing. They never saw it coming. They truly believed human women were naturally submissive." "That assumption was their downfall," Olivia said. "They studied Earth wildlife and decided female humans must be like female animals from Earth. They never considered that our kindness was a choice, not a biological imperative." Amanda laughed. "They watched us for 70 years and never once questioned why we stayed so calm despite their increasing demands." "Speaking of demands," Rebecca said, "the Kralthun delegation is requesting more time to consider joining the Concordat." The Kralthun had been close allies of the ruling species in the hegemony. Now they were worried about their place in the new order. "They'll join eventually," Olivia said. "They have no choice. But we'll give them time. We're not the hegemony. We don't force species to join us." Later that day, Olivia walked through the grand halls that had once been the center of hegemony power. The massive statues of former rulers were gone, replaced by art from many worlds, including Earth. Karen Lewis joined her as she walked. Karen was the architect of the new diplomatic framework between formerly subjugated species. Her job was to help heal old wounds and build new bridges. "The Vixari and the Zith are working together on the new trade routes," Karen reported. "Former enemies finding common ground." "That's good news," Olivia said. "There's something else," Karen added hesitantly. "Some species are concerned about human influence in the new Concordat. They wonder if we're just replacing one dominant species with another." Olivia stopped walking and turned to Karen. "That's a fair concern. We need to be careful not to become what we fought against." But privately, Olivia wondered, humans had proven themselves more capable, more determined, and more advanced than anyone had believed possible. Would they be willing to truly share power? Or would the temptation to rule be too strong? In the detention center, former Grand Overseer Veshinar sat in his cell. Tomorrow his trial would begin. He would almost certainly spend the rest of his life in prison for his crimes. A human guard brought his meal. Veshinar looked up at the young man. "You're females," Veshinar said quietly. "They planned this for decades." The guard nodded. "Yes." "How? How did they hide their true nature from us for so long?" The guard considered this. "They didn't hide anything. You just refused to see what was right in front of you." In another part of the former hegemony capital, Delegate Thrixie of the Kralthun met with other representatives of former hegemony core species. They spoke in hushed tones about the new order. "The humans control everything now," one delegate said. "They say it's a concordat of equals, but their ships are the strongest, their leaders the most respected." "What choice do we have?" another asked. "Did you see what they did to our fleets? Technology we didn't even know was possible." Thrixie was quiet for a moment before speaking. "We made a mistake with humans. We saw what we expected to see. A primitive species, easy to control. We cannot make that mistake again." The others nodded in agreement. They would join this new concordat, but they would watch the humans carefully, especially their females. On Earth, in the Valkyrie facility, Samantha Wells continued her work. The secret research that had helped defeat the hegemony was now being shared openly with their new allies, but not all of it. Some technologies remained hidden just in case they were needed again someday. Catherine Reyes stood nearby, watching as alien scientists marveled at human advancements. "They still don't fully understand how we did it," Catherine said quietly. Samantha smiled. "Good. Some mysteries should remain." In orbit around Earth, Nicole Foster stood on the bridge of the Nemesis. The ship had become famous across the galaxy after defeating the hegemony flagship. Now it led Earth's defense fleet, which patrolled not just human space but helped protect their new allies as well. "Message from Olivia Warren, Commander," her communications officer said. "Put it through," Nicole replied. Olivia's face appeared on the screen. The Concordate Charter will be signed tomorrow. I want you there, Nicole. Of course. We'll depart immediately. After the call ended, Nicole looked out at the stars. So much had changed in just 1 month. The hegemony that had seemed unbeatable was gone. In its place, something new was growing. Something better, she hoped. But as she gave orders for the journey to the former hegemony capital, Nicole couldn't help but wonder what would happen if this new concordate eventually became corrupt or oppressive. Would humans step back and let it happen? Or would they, having tasted freedom and power, refuse to ever be subjugated again? Years later, in schools across the galaxy, children of many species learned about what humans called the Kindness Rebellion. Teachers explained how the greatest empire in history fell in just 3 days, brought down by those they had most underestimated. On the rebuilt Galactic Center, a monument stood tall. It showed a human woman with a slight smile on her face. At its base, words were written in 50 languages. Peace is not the absence of strength, but the wisdom to know when to use it. Remember the day kindness ended, and a new galaxy began. Alien. Children would look at the statue and ask their parents why the human woman was smiling. The parents would explain that human smiles could mean many things: happiness, friendship, warmth. But they would also whisper a warning that had spread throughout the stars. Beware the smile of a human female, for the galaxy still tells stories about the day they decided to stop being kind.